Beloved Creator of all that is, some say the elements, earth, air, wood, metal, water, fire, are that from which springs all that exists in the universe. Just as these are part of our tangible world, these elements are contained within us as well. Rather than using these God-given elements that fortify and sustain, we see how they are used for malevolent purposes as well. For example, acupuncture needles for healing or voodoo needles for harming. We know these elements must be in balance, both within and without, and as above, so below. And we are first-hand experiencers and witnesses to the result of their imbalance. We recognize and humbly pray for the relief of the great sorrow that is present among the people today, that the people have the veil removed and are able to see hostile entities, many heretofore unseen, that you infuse more people with the awareness of their own personal power and strength and the passion that can exhibit as righteous rage, and that these dark energies pressing in on the unwitting are dispelled by your grace, so that the people can respond with greater consciousness from which comes greater discernment. Just as in a laboratory where elements are combined to create a reaction, we are on this earth plane experiencing the same. Let us feel calm in the knowing that there is balance to be had in responding with compassion and love. This is our responsibility. Let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This is another recruiting video, but not recruiting for Oregon. It's to recruit among the other 32 states. And what it is, we found out, is mindset. That's all there is to it. You have to have the mindset, not just the verbalization or the ability to write about it, but the actual mindset of a man or a woman with our progeny on the land and soil, without ruler and without subject. Period. Sovereign. That place. You have to be able to get to that place in your head so that you comprehend it, so that you really grok the situation. Then you have to look at the situation and say, yes, there is a de facto. There is a de facto governance. It's probably connected worldwide, and it's probably worse than we think. But that doesn't change the mathematical equation that we're dealing with. There's only about 3 to 5% that think like we do. Those in the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly and various other Jural assemblies and other assemblies, and there are a bunch. There's lots of people that think they have the way, and they're all teaching something. But almost every one of them is hanging their hat on the de facto. They have a society mentality. Societies like the John Birch Society get their authority from the state. And after they have their authority from the state, then they can criticize the state and everything about the state. and do all the stuff. But that's all they can do. It's mindset. Then there's those that form assemblies. And assemblies, I love to read this. I wish Cynthia was here. If Cynthia was here, she'd read this for me. Oh, this is embarrassing. I can't even find. There's one. Ha ha ha. Article 1, Section 1. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact and are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and that all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times the right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. And there are so many out there that think that they have the proper manner. And so do we. The thing is, we're actually doing it. And we've been doing it for 6 years. And here we are. Mindset. I was talking to a lady yesterday who had all the fire and desire and was just into it until she started hearing what it really took to do the job of forming a social compact and becoming the provisional government of a state, actually doing all the paperwork required, doing it. And then all those in positions of authority, such as the DOJ and the U.S. Marshals and sheriffs and district attorneys and governors and all of those folks in the de facto. Yes, in the de facto, which we have to deal with. It's there. It's illegal and illegitimate, but it's there. On Oregon, it's been here since November 8th, 1910. On the other 33 states, I don't know when they were flipped. But we know when Oregon was flipped. So to return to a constitutional Republican form of government, which we know is 1859, it's been color law since then. So there's a very small fraction of the people that really care about returning to a constitutional Republican form of government where men and women are sovereign, not just bullshit trip and the cop tells you what to do and you do it. Not that guy. So to find those that will actually say truth to the de facto currently in today's market, about 3 to 5%. And we found that it's probably less. There's just too many things going on, too many things happening for for the ability to be hurt enough, to be bleeding bad enough to want to go take action. Because when the people see how bad it really is, they cower and run away. That doesn't work. It just doesn't. So it's mindset. And all of those that are of the mindset are already involved with some assembly, maybe even a society that's interested in a constitutional republic. Now, you got to remember that every bar attorney that even talks on our side about constitution has to give up his practice of law because the practice of law as he does it is in a different law form than common law, which is what the people have. It is not an Article 1 court. It's an Article 3 court. It's the people's court. And they wrote Amendment 7 just because of you folks in the British Accreditation Registry and the black robes. All you folks in all of those courts have jurisdiction over U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens live in Washington District of Columbia, or they're in the military, or they're employed by the United States, the government service company that has not been in existence since March 1861. So Anna teaches one thing, and a lot of people follow it. John Darash in the NLA teaches another thing, and a lot of people follow it. And both of them are tied to the de facto, and I think would sell us a different form of de facto and not clean it up and just shuffle the paper. So everybody that's in this has already gotten into it, in my estimation. The 3%ers. They're already in it and occupied. A lot of them are already in Jural assemblies and other assemblies, and they meet and they talk and they go out and, I don't know, what do they call it? Populate counties, something like that. All ridiculous, make busy stuff. Everybody that's in the group already knows it's screwed. You don't have to know how bad. Don't get sidetracked into child molestation in school and women's rights and BLM and all of that. Forget it. We want a constitutional Republican form of government. The only way we can get there that I know of is to take over each state with a provisional government that's authorized by Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution. And if it's not in your Constitution, doesn't make any difference because it's in Oregon's. And with full faith and credit, I can't have anything that you don't have. So it's, and all the people are already recruited. I talked to a lady yesterday in Arkansas. Great website and everything else, and they're just going full speed down the de facto side. they leave out the important part. You have to become the provisional government of your state and then correct your state. And it's not about forming Secretary of State's office and Treasury office and the Bureau of whatever the hell. It's not about that. That stuff's already done and overdone, and PERS, public employee retirement system, all of that stuff is completely crazy. And I have presentation cards that are actually business cards from the state of Oregon's Treasury Department. Here's one right here. You see that? He has identified his pronouns. So, mindset. You must do it yourself. That's mindset. Then, after you do it, you realize nobody can do it for you. That means everybody else doesn't have anybody else to do it for them. And we can't do it alone. So it's recruiting. I need 5 people, living persons, on each one of the several states. Minnesota is 32. All of them, including South Carolina, which is the most important right now. And they have to do the paperwork. It takes 30 days to comply with everything that has to be complied with, such as Article 1, Section 1 of the Bill of Rights, and all the paperwork it takes to do that. Takes time, takes energy, takes money, takes people. It takes 5 people, about, in today's market, 150, 200 bucks. Most of that's for postage. You have to buy a seal, and you have to take the guidelines of the paperwork that you have to do and know your state and your state's constitution well enough to be versed on your state and to know when your state was flipped from de jure into de facto, so that you have a place to start and you know where original jurisdiction is, that place. Identify it to all those who have a spoon in the pie and give them time to rebut. They cannot rebut. They never do. Be fun if they did. I'd love to do it. And what are they? Caveat to will, where you have to do it in open court. That'd be good. So that group does all the paperwork, and in 7, 14, and 21 days, everybody on the list, the DOJ and the marshals and the sheriffs and whoever the hell it is on your state, those folks have acquiesced 3 times. And in common law, that's a fact. And then in 30 days, in their de facto bar form of governance, it becomes fact there. So then you have living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth, signed, sealed, stamped, witness, proof of service, and acquiesced to. You have facts. And with those facts, you create an Article 3, Amendment 7 court. You create a civilian court of record and implement ex parte Milligan. You do all the paperwork. What it took us 4.5 years, you can do in 30 days, the paperwork part. Then the lady next that I was talking to yesterday, when I told her, then you have to get a jury pool of peers. And she said, what? I said, yeah. We have several hundred on Oregon. We had our first grand jury when we had 45. You have to be able to call a grand jury and then have one show up. Then it makes its decisions, presentments, and true bills or no bill. And the presentments go to the prosecutors, and the true bill goes to our common law court, Article 3, Amendment 7. Our objective is remedy. It is not to incarcerate or execute. We do not do either one of those. We're looking for remedy. If you're the guilty party and you owe somebody, how do you pay them back if you're in jail or dead? How do you find remedy that way? I don't see it. And we're looking for remedy, not a cure-all. So now, when the 32 states do their work and become provisional governments, not play pretend, but actually signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, recorded. When that happens, then when 20 of those get together, we have a quorum. That could be done this year easily. Then the quorum reconstitutes the United States of America as it was when they quit sine die, and hasn't been done since. It's all been color of law, martial law. So this is a recruitment video to all of those folks that are going to see it, hopefully, because William's going to put this on the internet. It'll be on YouTube. I'll have something that I can cut and paste into an email, and I'll send it to everybody that I can, and I know a lot. So several hundred people will get this. And out of those several hundred, I need 5 on 32 states. Actually, only 19, as long as South Carolina is one of them, and we have a quorum of provisional governments. The United States of America. Yep. So, recruitment video, de facto de jure, mindset. The other 32, several states, and 5 to 6 people that'll actually do the work. About 15 hours, $150, 30 days. And I yield.
Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution, natural rights inherent in people. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, "Just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me." And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.